Conservative voices brave enough to push back. This is the Conservative Daily Podcast with Joe Otto.
That's what the Second Amendment was designed to do. If you're going to do something to nullify or take away my rights under the Constitution, come get it.
Max McGuire.
When you look at politicians on the left, they need to convince people that they are victims.
A resistance to the resistance. And now your hosts, Joe Otto and Max McGuire.
And welcome back to another edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. As always, my name is Max McGuire.
And I'm Joe Otto.
Today we're going to be talking about...
Did you like that, Max? By the way, did you like my intro?
It was a little bit better than how you signed off the other day. And Josh, if you can work on the echo, there's an echo in the background. Today we're going to be talking about a self-defense shooting in New Mexico, which is starting to make the news. A man by the name, I make sure I get the name right, Stephen Baca, 31 years old. Stephen Baca was arrested in Albuquerque on Monday night for shooting a protester who was attacking him. Now, I want to get into this. I want to talk about how it's being framed to be an excuse to go after your gun rights, your right to self-defense. I want to talk about it in light of everything else we've seen, like what we saw in Atlanta, where the police officer was defending himself and he's now being charged. It's a pretty egregious case. So why don't we get into it?
No, let's. I want to say this. It's loony. It's lunacy. We just want to ignore we want to ignore law. Number one, laws don't make a difference anymore. You have the Chaz that takes over 6.5 blocks, threatens businesses. You have what's happening down in Atlanta where you can fire at an officer and there'll be no repercussions, no consequences. And then you have a guy in New Mexico who is getting beaten. And as he's getting beaten, we're going to show you this video, but as he is getting beaten, he gets hit with a skateboard and they're screaming at him, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you." And then all of a sudden, somewhere along the line, it's supposed to be okay. It's supposed to be okay that you get to get beat with a skateboard. They could have killed the guy. They could have. They were saying that they were going to kill him. So he pulls a gun. He fires that gun. He obviously the guy died. Nobody wants anyone to die.
No, he didn't. He didn't die.
Oh, he did not die.
He didn't die. He was taken to the hospital in serious but stable condition. He's not been charged with murder. He's been charged with aggravated assault, if I'm correct on that. Yeah, he's
I actually heard.
The guy didn't die.
I'm glad. Yeah, so
maybe he might have died. That was the reporting as of last night. It might have changed, but he was transferred at least to the hospital in serious but stable condition.
Yeah, what I'm saying, Max, is that it doesn't stop. It absolutely doesn't stop. We every time we turn around, we deal with the same issue, and the same issue is it doesn't make sense, and they're going to get their pound of flesh anyway. It doesn't even matter that the guy's innocent. He's got to go now hire an attorney, spend tens of thousands, if not $100,000, to keep himself from going to prison for something he should never be charged with. Yeah. And yet we don't ever charge the people that do the things wrong. The people that actually do something wrong, we don't charge them. We don't charge them.
Well, here, so let's throw up image one. This is from Shannon Watts. She is the director of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. Image number one, if we can throw it up. This is a tweet that she put out, basically accusing this man, accusing Stephen Baca of basically shooting protesters, shooting at protesters. Do we have that image? So that is the tweet that she put out. Make no mistake, the armed insurrectionists who opened fire on protesters tonight in Albuquerque were encouraged by the president's rhetoric to liberate their cities and enabled by America's lax gun laws. She is the leader of one of the most rabid anti-gun groups in the United States. She partners with Michael Bloomberg. They work together with Moms Demand Action to try and force gun control down our throats. She just basically tried to sum this up as armed insurrectionists open fire on protesters.
That should right there, what they just said right there, we should be able to sue her for that. We should be able to go after her for that. There should be consequences. There should be, hey, we're going to sue you. Everyone out there that is affected by this, especially this Baca guy, he should sue her.
Yeah.
He should sue her.
So let me play the video that was in that tweet so you can see how they're trying to shape it. This is what they're trying to say happened. Let's play cut 1. So you can watch that. They're trying to pull the statue down. I don't know what statue it is, but apparently the leftists don't like it. They're trying to pull the statue down, and then towards the end you can hear 4 shots. Shot, 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 bang, 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 bang. The Moms Demand Action head, Shannon Watts, is trying to make it out that they're firing at the protesters. That's the only reason you would use that video, because that's not the video of what happened, not by a long shot. They're trying to make it out that these were peaceful protesters. They weren't. They were trying to destroy public property, and they're trying to make it look like this guy was firing at the protesters. Again, not true. I want to play this in its entirety, and then we're going to kind of cut it up and slow it down a bit so you can see what happens. This is the real video of what happened. Let's go to cut 2. So I apologize for that language. We didn't mean for that. That's the protesters cursing, so I apologize. I guess a little late than never, but viewer discretion advised, I guess. That is what happened. He was not shooting into a crowd of protesters trying to tear down a monument. He fired in self-defense after he was attacked and thrown to the ground, not by 1, not by 2, but by 3 people. He was trying to retreat from the situation. He had gotten into some kind of shoving match at the statue. He tried to retreat. They followed him, hit him in the head with skateboards, not once, but at least twice. And then he was brought to the ground by 3 people who were beating on him. And only then did he pull a concealed handgun from his waistband and fire 4 shots to save himself. The narrative that they're making is that this guy went there to shoot people, that he went there to kill people who were protesting. It is a lie. It is a complete and utter lie. I want to play it again, slowed down. Well, let's play it again, and then we'll play the slow-mo version. Let's go to cut 6 and watch this one more time.
Get his license plate! Follow him! Follow him! Get his license plate! Follow him! Get the fuck out! Dude, you guys! He's gonna fucking kill you! No! He's gonna fucking kill you!
They threatened to kill him.
So you
They
can hear
threatened
that.
to kill him.
They're
They
going to effing kill you.
Yeah.
They're threatening to kill him. That he was retreating. So when it comes to gun laws, I'm not an expert in New Mexico's gun laws, but when it comes to gun laws, there's essentially 2 different rules there. There's a duty to retreat, where you have to retreat if you're able to, and there's also stand your ground. New Mexico has what's called stand your ground, and as long as you're somewhere legally and you're not there to commit a crime, you have the right to defend yourself if you're attacked. He was attacked. Regardless of what happened in the pushing and shoving match at the statue, he retreated. He was trying to leave. They chased him down, attacked him. 3 people brought him to the ground and were beating on him. And only then did he pull his handgun out. But let's watch it in slow motion, because it's clear that he was not waving a gun around this whole time. He only brought it out when his life was in danger. Let's go to cut 7.
Cut 7. Sorry, we're trying to do the there's hit him with a
That is a textbook example of how to defend yourself. Now, what the left is trying to claim is that if you bring a gun concealed to a protest, that you're asking for trouble. I don't agree with that at all. This guy was there, and they say that there was a shoving match. We'll play that clip in a second. But regardless of whether there was a shoving match at the actual statue, he wasn't being attacked by the person he shoved. He was being attacked by other people who wanted to get even. Right? Those are two separate instances. If you want to say that he shoved someone, pushed them to the ground, it's hard to tell from the video, but maybe. But he also was retreating, and 3 people attacked him, brought him to the ground, and he was forced to use a gun only to defend his life. Joe, what do you think about that?
I think that the video is self-explanatory, and the fact that they actually charged him is a miscarriage of justice. Look, if you bring a weapon to a fight and you start beating someone with a skateboard and you yell at them, "I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you," as you're actually beating them with a skateboard, how do you charge a person? How in the world do you, as a prosecutor, and this is what I was talking about before. This is exactly what I was talking about, Max, 100%. Our system, it is broken. Because they're going to get their pound of flesh. It became a political decision to actually charge him, knowing that he was in fear for his life. It's very, we have a problem at the level just beyond the police officers. We have a problem with our prosecutors' offices and how they treat people. We have a problem with our judges and how they actually persecute and prosecute people in the community. We have a problem with a system that is used as a weapon against the people in their community. We have a problem because if you looked at that, there's no way you could actually charge anyone. No way. Yeah. Not in any state.
Yeah.
I'm pissed. I'm pissed.
So we have Roy on the line. I'm sorry, Roy. We had to take a little time to get the call through. How's it going, Roy?
Oh, hello. My name is not Roy. My name is actually Steve, but how are you today?
That's
Hi,
fine, Steve. How's it going?
Not too bad. I am calling in just to speak with you. I am, in fact, law enforcement. I live in Idaho, and I am a law enforcement officer. I am a police officer, and I wanted to speak to you briefly about some of the misnomers about police officers, some of the nasty things that I'm seeing about police officers online, and just to offer a little pushback to that if I could.
Well,
sure.
I want to start by saying, hey, thank you for the stuff that you do in your community. Thank you for being a police officer.
You're welcome.
All right.
You're welcome, and I appreciate you saying that, and it means a lot. And it's like, I work hard out there, and now people are going to disrespect me?
Yeah. While you're trying to help them, and while things go wrong in the community, they call you because they want you to come help them, but they also want to beat you while you help them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So it's like, oh, let's get rid of the police and defund them. But then all of a sudden, when you need somebody to come and show up at your party when everyone's having a good time and make them all disperse and get rid of everybody and have the night end, then all of a sudden, who are you calling? Then you're calling me. And I wanted to talk about a very specific story of something that happened to me. It's something that's happening a lot right now, but something that happened to me at my Burger King, and this is something, all of the stuff in the news doesn't even show half of what is happening. Because I go to Burger King, I order a Whopper, and what do they give me? A Whopper Junior.
Okay.
A Whopper Junior, not a Whopper. And I said to them, excuse me, I am a law enforcement officer, and I demand a Whopper. And they said, do you know what they said to me? You imagine what they said to me? They said, I'm sorry, sir. Let us get you another one.
Did they get you another one?
Well, yes, they did, but they didn't say, oh, I'm so sorry, officer, sir, and they didn't even kiss my boots.
Okay.
I think we're getting trolled here. Well, let's cut Steve off. That started like a legitimate caller, and we get those from time to time.
Yeah.
As soon as he started complaining about the Whopper Jr., that was something out of Super Troopers.
Yeah.
So thanks for your call, Farva.
Bye. I thought we were going to have someone that was actually law enforcement. I should have known by his, by how he was speaking that he wasn't real. But I do want to actually say that I want to thank law enforcement. Right? I do want to thank law enforcement. I want to thank law enforcement for the work that they do. There are so many good police officers out there that are doing good work and protecting people in the community. But they, the bad apples are the ones that we actually have to deal with, because those are the ones that come into contact with 200, 300, 400, 500 people a day. And if you just do the math, one bad police officer coming into contact with, let's say, 100 people, right? By the end of the year, Max, do the math.
Yeah.
How many people? He's coming into contact with 30,000 people. He's adversely affecting 30,000 people's lives. It doesn't take long to figure out that bad apples make the good apples look bad, right?
Yeah.
So
How long, Mr. Producer Josh, how long was that guy on the call with you? I'm just trying to figure out how long that guy wasted of his time to try and waste our time.
Well, first he had to make up a name.
Yeah.
And he was actually saying a few things that might have made sense when I was skull creening him. But the best part is that nothing of what he said afterwards met your guys' ears, because he was ungentlemanly, would be the best way to put it. And
Gotcha.
his IQ is
Well-
very low, I'm sure.
well,
Well,
look,
you're gonna get cases like that. If anyone wants to call in for real, feel free. It's 888-441-1121. I want to get back to what we're talking about, which is this self-defense situation. And if he was a real cop, I would have talked to him about this. But I guess we'll just
we should have
go off
known
it
that if,
anyway.
if he wasn't going to talk about that. I kept thinking, why would you want
Yeah.
to talk about that while we're talking about this? But, you know,
Yeah. Well, what I see going on is I see twofold. I see that cops the left is trying to treat police officers as if they are not citizens, right? Every citizen, unless you live in a state that I mentioned has like a duty to retreat, if you live in a state that does not have a duty to retreat and your life is in jeopardy, you're allowed to defend yourself, just as a citizen. As a law-abiding citizen, you're allowed to defend yourself. That right doesn't go away when you become a police officer. So when you see places like Seattle trying to take weapons out of police officers' hands to defend themselves, it becomes a real problem, because they're not just going after them because they're police officers. They don't believe that anyone should have the right to defend themselves. And what we see in this New Mexico example is this guy was being tackled by 3 people. He was being beaten by 3 people. He was chased down the street, them saying, "I'm going to effing kill you." They brought him to the ground. They're beating him, right? And only then did he draw his weapon. Only then. I want to play this clip, because this is what the left is claiming. The left is claiming that he went to the protest to cause trouble. I want to play this because they say that this shows him basically starting a fight. So let's play this. Let's play cut 8 to show him allegedly starting a fight. So
Well, I don't see
all
him
that
starting to
shows.
fight.
Well, so what I saw was a woman trying to box him out like she's playing basketball, trying to back him up and box him out, which you're not really allowed to do. You're not allowed to put your body onto someone else's, pushing him like that. All I saw was him and that woman go down. It doesn't say he pushed her down. It doesn't say he did anything. But we did see him try and get out of that situation as fast as he could. He ran away, and as he's running away, he got hit in the face with a skateboard, and there was a woman chasing him, trying to swing her bag or her purse at him, right? So when they say that they're trying to claim that it was an illegal shoot because he instigated, and they're trying to use that clip as proof of that. That isn't. If you want to charge him with assaulting someone for that little push and shove going on in that crowd, by all means. But he retreated from that. He went down the road and he got chased. And then 3 people started pummeling him and beating him and taking him to the ground.
Yep.
That is why he shot. He did not shoot because they were protesting at the statue. He shot because his life was in danger.
So Max,
his life was absolutely in danger.
Let's back up and talk about. Let's back up for a minute and talk about what mindset you would have to have as a prosecutor's office to prosecute a man that's getting beaten with a skateboard by multiple people while they're screaming, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you," while he's actually retreating. And Max, Josh, get me some research. I want to know the prosecutor's office phone number. I want their address. I want everything. We're going to tell our listeners, and we're going to put it out there that they need to call the prosecutor's office and ask the question. Let's ask the question, folks.
Someone wrote on YouTube. Is there a full video of this? We played the full video. You can rewind.
There's
and
a
watch
second
it.
video too. Do we have the second video that's a different, where it shows the guy actually going down? Because there's a video
No.
out there.
Well, so all the other videos are just zoomed in of what we just played. There's another video of them circling around him.
Yeah.
We can play that. Let's see. That is.
No, I have a video. Let me see if I can push it over to you, Josh. But I have a video of him actually getting smacked with a skateboard, and he turns and shoots, and then the guy that was shot falls down on the ground, right? Let me see if I can slack it over to you. Well, I don't know if I can.
And while we're doing that, let's go to cut 3. This is the immediate aftermath of the shooting. Let's watch cut 3 as other people with guns stood in to try and protect him from being lynched by the mob. Let's play cut 3.
Get out, you fucking cunt! We don't want you here! We don't want you here! Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here, you fucking fascist pig! Fuck you! Circle!
So yeah, so that's them. That's other people who were there, not connected with him. Those militia members were not connected with him. They say they were just standing in to make sure that he was not about to be killed by a mob for defending himself.
Right.
But you hear that they're angry. Someone did write in the Facebook message that he had 2 knives. I've seen that picture. I think that picture might have been altered because when I was zoomed in, it looked like the guy who was hitting him had his glasses in his hand. It didn't look like they were knives. I've heard that those pictures might be photoshopped. He could have had knives. Literally, whether or not he had knives or not, he was being attacked by 3 people. Overwhelming force. And it's not the skateboard. The skateboard's the head. Yeah, it could kill you if you hit him enough, right? He isn't justified just in defending himself because he got hit in the head with a skateboard.
Right.
He's justified because he was brought to the ground and there's 3 people trying to beat him up. He had absolutely every right. And if he was going to that protest to try and start trouble, you would have expected the gun to make an appearance long before this.
100%.
If he was truly trying to brandish and scare people, he would have pulled it out as soon as he left that crowd to say
Correct.
back away. But he didn't. He only pulled it out when his life was in jeopardy. And the fact that he's being charged now with aggravated assault, and the mayor the governor of New Mexico. We have a press release from her. Let's put up image 3. The New Mexico governor is claiming that you can read it here.
I'm still learning about the situation.
Yeah, she's still learning about it. She said that she's disgusted by it. The civil guard were there for no reason, to menace protesters, to present an unsanctioned show of unregulated force, to menace the people of New Mexico with weaponry. That's how the governor described what you just watched. That he was menacing the people of New Mexico with weaponry, with an implicit threat of violence. That's how the state government in New Mexico is treating this. You just watched a guy backing up and being chased by a mob, being attacked, thrown to the ground, and beaten by 3 people. And the governor of New Mexico is describing that as unacceptable use of force, an unsanctioned show of unregulated force, and an attempt to menace the people of New Mexico with weaponry. That's the narrative that they're pushing.
It's unbelievable.
It is ridiculous. It is completely false. It is the fakest of fake news. I've never seen anything faker than this. It is obviously fake news, and yet they're still pushing it. They're still claiming that this guy was wrong. They're trying to brand him as a far-right militiaman, which, again, the militia that were there to try and keep the peace, they say he wasn't part of it. They're saying he was brandishing a weapon. He didn't. This is getting out of hand, because it's one thing if we're going to say that we need to go after police officers who do the wrong thing. They break the law. They hurt people. They kill people. Yes, when we find that, we have to go after them. But this is taking it to a next level. This is taking it to a level that anyone who defends themselves from the mob is also a criminal.
100%.
That is a textbook self-defense shoot. It is textbook. And if anyone here is a shooting instructor listening, feel free to call in 888-441-1121 and talk to us. But I've taken the courses. You've taken the courses. This is textbook example. He didn't bring the gun out when he didn't need to. He only did it when his life was in jeopardy. It just to see that that's how it's being branded, as he was menacing the crowd with a weapon, it's completely false.
It's unbelievable. I sent it to you over Messenger, by the way, Max, on Facebook. I sent it to Josh, you too. It's the only place I could actually send it to you, but it's a totally different angle, and it shows, it might be, it actually does show the actual shooting. So
it's the
take
same
a look
video.
at that first.
It's just zoomed in. It's the same video. It's just rezoomed.
It's a different video, actually. Totally different video, because there's no running away. It's a different video. Now, so the reason why I'm actually showing you that is because it actually shows him actually getting hit by the skateboard and beaten and trying to get away.
I saw that one. I saw that one. That's branded by another media company. We got to be careful showing that.
Well, it's
that's
actually
why that
not.
one wasn't
It's not.
included.
It's not branded.
There's
it
a
just says
watermark over
warning.
the
Just
video.
viewer discretion.
There's
is
a
there?
watermark. We're not going to show that. We'll include a link in the Facebook description. We're not going to show
Yeah.
it because the last thing we want to do is get taken down for a copyright strike. We'll include that in the description, but we're not going to play that because it's watermarked.
And I've asked Ryan if he can actually look through and find that video as well that's not watermarked. So hopefully we'll have that for you before the end of the show. But I think that the view of the one that you showed is actually more appropriate because it doesn't show the person getting shot. But I think that I think that if you do things that are illegal, if you try to beat someone, then you have this thing called the Second Amendment that actually protects you if someone tries to beat you, right? So they obviously tried to beat him, and they said twice, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you." The second that you say that you're trying to kill someone, that by itself is imminent threat of loss of life.
Yeah, and then when 3 people start taking you to the ground and beating you up, absolutely
What if they would have knocked him unconscious? Then what? What if they would have killed him? It's happened.
Well, when they took him to the ground, you can watch. Let's play it again, and Josh, if you can set up so I can talk over it. Let's play. What was that? That was cut.
All the way through 3.
So many emails. Let's play cut 7. Let's play cut 7.
Cut 7.
And let me talk over it as we play it. Up to the ground. You can see that his shirt is lifted up, so everyone there can see he has a gun. He grabs the gun right there. He takes it out as he's being hit.
Bam!
Doesn't know how many people are hitting him. He fires 4 times. So he was brought to the ground, and his shirt was being pulled up. So anyone around him, if they had knocked him unconscious, they would have seen his gun.
Right.
Right? It's not just about defending yourself. It's also about making sure that you're not about to be immobilized and they're going to take your gun and use it against you.
Correct.
So in every way, shape, or form, this looks to me to be a lawful self-defense shoot. Now, I can't speak for whatever happened around the actual monument that the mob was tearing down. I did see some pushing, shoving on both sides, and I did see both parties fall to the ground. Don't know what happened there, but that is a completely different matter to what happened down the street. He was being attacked by 3 people, and he used a lawful force to defend himself. It's pretty cut and dry. I want to talk generally about what this means for our Second Amendment rights as a whole. But before I do want to mention that today's podcast is again being brought to us by the Conservative Daily Store.
I love this store.
We're again going to promote this T-shirt, the Invade Chaz T-shirt. Check it out if you like it. Feel free to buy it. Help support the podcast. Help support the channel. Lots of other T-shirts that we're putting up there. There's more on there. So search around the store, see what you like, and if you like something, please do support the channel. I want to play this clip because originally, before I saw this last night, we were going to talk about Chaz. We were going to talk about all that. I did find some clips that kind of tie in with this. There was an auto body shop, a car parts store. I forget the name of it, but it was being overrun. There were reports last night that the mob was overrunning this auto repair shop, that the owners had held someone hostage inside, and that the mob was going to free them. I want to play a clip. That ended up being completely a lie. No surprise, that was completely false. I want to play a clip of that so we can see the context, and then we have a clip of the business owner explaining what happened. Let's play cut 4.
Do you see the guy with the gun on the left? They came in there wearing guns. Did you see that? The guy on the left actually pulling a gun on the guy?
I saw at least one guy with a gun. They basically broke down that guy's fence, stormed his property. At least one of them, I think I saw 2, had guns advancing towards this guy.
He pulled the gun on him. He pulled the gun on the left. If you go back to the beginning part of that video,
let's
Josh.
play again.
And just the beginning, just the beginning. I'm gonna tell you when to stop, right? So maybe we have to back it up a little bit. All right. So on the left of this, Josh, you will see as they break the fence down, right? All right, so the fence goes down. Watch on the left. Watch on the left. And hold on. Missed it.
Yeah, so there were people in that crowd that had guns. Just the fact that the crowd was rushing towards him, breaking down his fence and rushing towards him, that would have been justification to defend yourself. Now, in that situation, you better hope that you have 15 rounds, 30 rounds in your magazine, because if you run out of bullets, you're going to die, right? If you're they're advancing a whole mob. They claim that this guy was holding one of their comrades hostage. I mean, let's just think about how ludicrous that is. A small business owner, they're claiming that the small business owner kidnapped some innocent African American and was holding him hostage. That's why that mob showed up.
Right.
But that isn't true. The property owner, the small business owner, caught someone trying to burn down his repair shop.
Yeah.
Held him, called police asking for help, and the police said, "We're not coming." Let's play that clip. Let's play cut 5.
I had some people on my stream that were curious. You said did you try to call the police or the fire department and they wouldn't show up?
I did call them.
Really? You called them?
Yes.
And they just
Multiple times.
did they say we're not going to show up or?
Well, at first they made it sound like they were going to show up, and then by the time I probably called them the 10th or 8th time, 8th, 10th, 11th, I don't know what number it was.
Yeah.
They basically told me they weren't going to come up
Okay. Did they say why or were
because of all of this.
they were like we can't get near that area?
They did,
Because they have to preserve their own lives. They have families they need to go home to at the end of the day as well.
Yeah. So
They can't protect the people of this neighborhood without fearing for their life.
were you guys already on the scene as security or did you guys have to kind of rush
I
in?
left
we
my
came
home.
here from my house.
Oh,
I
okay.
just got home from having
Dinner with our
dinner with
family.
my wife.
Wow.
Because it was our anniversary, and I got the phone call that somebody was breaking into the business.
Yeah.
So I left my house, came down here, and we caught the dude
Caught the guy
in
in our business lighting it on fire, and we put the fire
It was
out
on fire,
ourselves.
and it was when I went inside through the normal gate. There was a fire on the counter. He'd taken a stream of grill.
Yeah.
Lit the
Cassette players on fire.
Okay.
Started the fire, and we put it out, and then we caught him inside.
Got it.
Simple as that.
Did was he acting alone? Was it just one guy who had
Yeah, there
There was
supposedly
one other
somebody
person
else,
who
but
was
I didn't
supposedly
catch
here.
him.
Okay.
He claimed that there was some other person here, but who knows?
Yeah.
The only person we caught here was him, and we caught him lying in his story multiple times.
So, Joe, they catch someone breaking into their store, trying to burn it down. They apprehend him. They're trying to hold him for police because there's no police anywhere. They call police, say, hey, we need help. We just apprehended someone in our store, breaking in, trying to burn it down. And the police and the fire department say they're not coming. And then because they were still holding this guy, which they are well within their rights to do, holding this guy, the mob comes and breaks in and tries to lynch them too. Thank God cooler heads prevailed. But I brought this up because this is the same deal. It's the idea that if you are against Black Lives Matter, if you are against that movement, you have no right to property. You have no right to self-defense. You have no right to have a fence itself, right? If you stand up against this, you have no rights to resist it. And if you call the police aren't going to come to get you. But God forbid you use a firearm to defend yourself. Now you're a villain too. So the police won't defend you. The mob's coming after you. And if you actually do use a firearm to defend yourself, you're the one who gets arrested. That's the story of today's America and the Black Lives Matter movement. Post Black Lives Matter, that is the narrative the left is pushing. And you have the idiots in Atlanta that are looking to charge that officer with murder for shooting someone who was firing a taser at him. Are you serious? The governor of New Mexico accusing the shooter of brandishing and trying to menace innocent protesters? No, they were trying to destroy public property. And this guy only pulled his gun when he was being taken to the ground by 3 people. They're trying to make it a crime to defend yourself. And they're trying to defund the police at the same time. I loved it. I was watching a clip from Charles Barkley yesterday, famous basketball player. And he actually came on the right side of it. He said, what do you mean you're going to defund police? Black people need police too. Who are the black people going to call? Ghostbusters? And you laugh because it's funny, but it's true. It's not police aren't a white issue. It affects black families. It affects Hispanic families. We all deserve the right to be protected by police if we need their help. But we're seeing now, not only are they trying to defund the police, they're also trying to eliminate your right to defend yourself. It's absolutely shameful.
It not only is it shameful, but it's illogical. It violates everything, every standard of just common sense in the United States. In any state, it doesn't even matter what state it is. Let's go back to this. Do you remember the illegal immigrant that shot and killed that young lady in California on the boardwalk?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he says he found the gun.
He found the gun.
Went off.
And it just went off, killing her. Now, he's here illegally. He shoots a gun and kills a woman, and he gets off. He gets off.
Yeah.
We don't care about logic anymore. We don't care about it. We care about defending people that are actually hurting and killing other Americans. We're going to let those people just run rampant all over the street. I can't even reconcile the fact that we would go after a man, given the fact that you could hear them on the video saying, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Yeah. What would the prosecutor have to be thinking to go after someone when someone says they're going to kill him? Yeah. So when is deadly force? When should it be used? When should? He was getting beaten on the ground. Then he pulls his gun as he gets smacked in the face with a skateboard.
And he only fires. The other important thing, he only fires when you watch that as he's getting up.
At the person that hit him with
all around.
Yeah.
He's only fired at one person, the person that he recognized was the biggest threat to his survival.
Correct.
He didn't then turn and shoot everyone else. He shot to end the threat, which is what you're trained to do. 4 shots is what came out. He didn't keep firing. We watched that other clip. He was surrounded by people protecting him from the mob. He put the gun down and picked up his phone, and I assume he was calling a lawyer, right? He maybe, I don't know, maybe he has one of those legal services that people put lawyers on retainer. God forbid they ever need to use their gun. He was on the phone talking to someone. Right. Hopefully his lawyer. He wasn't running around shooting people like the governor of New Mexico claims. He wasn't menacing with unlawful weapons. He was a concealed carrier who only drew his weapon and fired when his life was at risk. It's as cut and dry at that. Joe, Sherry wants to know, when are you going to Chaz?
I'm going to Chaz next. I'm trying to get. So we're actually working on this. I am actually going to the Chaz. It is true. I am going to the Chaz. I am taking somebody with me when I go to the Chaz.
The comment section is holding you to it.
I'm going to the Chaz.
You think that you're going to be able to get away with it
now. I am going to the Chaz. I am headed to the Chaz. I am going to go to the Chaz probably next week. I'm going to try and get it done next week. We're working on that now to get a couple days where we can get out there. They're being a little bit coy on people being able to fly into Chazistan. So and so I had to make sure I had my passport, make sure all the stuff is. And then I got to check.
Gotta get inoculated. I gotta get inoculated.
And I got to check with one of the people that said they were going to go with me. Make sure that he's actually going to go with me, right? And not chicken out there, Connor. So if Connor's listening, you said you'd go with me. Let's go. I'll go by myself. Max won't go with me because he's getting ready to have a baby.
No, I'm not going.
And he doesn't want to be around the human feces.
I don't want to be around the smell. These people are there. They're not locked in there. I looked at the map. There's like a Lowe's and a Home Depot a couple miles away. They could go get fertilizer. Instead, they've chosen to grow their crops with human feces. I want nothing to do with these people. These are dirty, dirty people. I don't want to be around them. So if you want to go for it. But I just want to let you know that the comment section has a long memory. They're not going to let you get out of this. So if you're going to Chaz, you got to go to Chaz.
Yeah, well, I'm going to Chaz. I'm going to Chaz.
And make sure you bring a gun. Make sure it's legal in the state of Washington.
It is.
Make sure that you have reciprocity.
It does have reciprocity.
Do you have reciprocity?
They do. Yeah. So they also have open carry. So there's no rule against open carry. The only problem is that the airlines are actually restricting certain cargoes, so they're not letting people bring in firearms. So it's there is some.
So actually,
the reason why I can bring in. Go ahead. Sorry.
Your Colorado license does not have reciprocity in Washington.
What's that?
So just make sure you.
Oh wow.
So just make sure that you don't accidentally conceal carry, because then you'll be on the news.
No, you don't have to conceal carry. You just have to open carry, right?
Well, you can do that.
So-
Just make sure if you're going to conceal it, make sure that you have all your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
But is it crazy that we're even having this conversation
It is
about
crazy.
the ins and outs of self-defense law,
Oh,
and these
Matt-
people are literally
Matt-
burning down businesses and no one cares?
Max, I want to say this. So we have a bunch of people that are following us, and obviously we're having to deal with Facebook throttling us. Share. For those of you that are actually watching this, I need you to share it. Hit the share button. Start a watch group. Facebook is throttling us. Obviously, we're going to talk tomorrow about what happened with the Federalist and what Google's doing to the Federalist to punish conservative news across the nation. There's a lot of really bad things that are happening on platforms in order to silence a majority of Americans. And it's really sad. It's also illegal. So we're going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks what that looks like. How do we actually hold these platforms accountable? But I need you to share. I need everybody to go to that share button and start a watch party. And we're going to start becoming more deliberate about this when we start. And when you come in, share. Give people the opportunity to hear what we're talking about and come to the rescue of people like Mr. Baca in New Mexico that literally is being attacked by a system that literally violates everything that you should stand for in this country. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. You should stand against tyranny, and this is tyranny. Charging someone and using our legal system as a weapon against an individual when common sense would tell you that he had every right to fire that gun. Every single right. We are letting illegals go. We are letting people do bad things to citizens in this country. We are becoming, in essence, hostages in our own country, where it doesn't matter. And we're supposed to feel guilty for being Americans. I don't feel guilty for being an American. And you shouldn't allow Facebook or Google to actually be able to censor people's ability to speak. You shouldn't let it happen. It should be illegal. And the president needs to stand up, and he needs to sign an executive order, and we need to be able to punish these companies for doing things to take away the voice of the Americans. That's what they're doing. They're stymieing our voice. So share. Hit the share button. Start a watch party.
Sherry just asked, what time does the podcast usually start? Around 2 p.m. Eastern time. Sometimes Joe has to use the little boys' room, and sometimes we're a little late, but usually in the 2 p.m. Eastern hour.
Did you see what Max just did? Max, if you were in front of me, I'd stop you. But you're not.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? Not a good look to be threatening deadly force during a discussion about self-defense.
Yeah, deadly force for
smack. So we go live in the 2 p.m. Eastern time, give or take 5-10 minutes usually.
So we're gonna try.
Sometimes things go up and we go a little later, but usually around that time.
So we might do some Chazistan videos next week. Again, we got to get Connor to kind of show up, right? Because Connor said that he'd go with me. So I'm calling you out, Connor. If you're listening,
you're gonna have to go soon, because just in the last 24 hours they've reduced the size of Chaz in half.
Oh,
it's gone from 6 blocks to 3 blocks, but they replaced the wooden barricades with concrete barricades. So they are going to let them stay there long term. And Joe, I know you'll be happy to hear this. The Public Works Department, not only did they bring them concrete barricades, they also put plywood around the concrete barricades so that the Chazanistas, they can decorate the barricades the way they want.
So Christy asked,
they went out of their way to make sure it was decoratable.
So Christy just asked what happened to the bikers that were going up there. So the bikers were asked to stand down. Just so you know, they were asked to stand down. Matter of fact, they were told, they were threatened, as well as the ex-military guys who just said it's not a rumor. No, it's not a rumor at all. It absolutely 100%, they were headed up there. And the ex-military SF guys decided that they were going to do recon. So there's been a bunch of people that are ex-SF guys doing recon, grabbing videos, then providing those videos to the police. I actually think it's kind of smart what the police are doing. They're going to pick off people one by one. When all of this does settle down, there'll be a lot of people charged. And maybe that's the patient play. Maybe that's a patient play. Maybe that's a good play. I don't think it is. I don't think when you get on TV and you create rhetoric that you're actually doing yourself any good as the police chief or the mayor.
Well, Sherry's writing it on Facebook. She wants to make sure that you only go at night, because that's when the violence happens. Thank you, Sherry.
Oh, I'll be at both. I'll be at both. Sherry, I'll be there.
She only wants you there when it is most dangerous. That's
Yeah.
our comment section. I love it.
I mean, just so everybody knows, I am not afraid of a conflict, and Max knows that about me. But I mean, I don't look for it, but I certainly am not going to shy away from being there during the most dangerous times. And I'm going to make sure that I uncover it. And the other part is I want to make sure I have the right technology to be there as well. So I want to be able to
live stream.
Yeah, batteries in my backpack, things like that, to make sure that we can just literally walk around. I don't know. I have some old Google glasses. I don't think they'll work, but maybe coming up with some
actually
stuff.
discontinued those. This is so crazy because as we talk about this, we're as I mentioned, we're going through the ins and outs. Like, okay, let's make sure we do it legally. Are we allowed to bring a gun? Are we not? Meanwhile, they're just handing AK-47s and AR-15s out like they're candy.
Yeah.
They're literally pulling up with cars, opening up the trunk, and then their warlords are handing out guns to people. No background check. That apparently is not being enforced in the Chaz. Washington State has no intention of enforcing their background check requirement there.
Why would they?
But if you're not, God forbid, if we were to go in there and we were to have to use force to defend ourselves, you can guarantee that the prosecutors will come down on us, come down on Joe, come down on me, right?
100%.
But they're not there arresting the people, terrorizing the neighborhood. And I'm going to be putting out a video later today showing the actual the security details in the Chaz. At times you want to laugh. They're dressed up like Power Rangers. It's really stupid.
Yeah.
But these are also people with guns.
Yeah,
like one of them looks like Fat Albert. One of them looks like Fat Albert. It's funny, but he also has an AK-47, right? Yeah. So this is not a peaceful protest.
And you've seen some of the people walking with these guns, just kind of flamboyantly, just pointing them in every different direction.
Yeah.
I saw a video of a guy scratching his forehead with a .45. That was funny. I mean, with his finger on the trigger. And you're thinking to yourself, what would you have to be thinking to hand over weapons to people that have never been shot a weapon before? Oh, and then this was the best part. So I want to mention this part. If you, and here's something to consider. If you own a gun, by the way, and you went out and bought a gun, let's say that you just bought a gun. I want you to consider this. Don't fire range rounds, or don't load your gun with range rounds and use that as your self-defense when you conceal carry or carry it with
never,
you.
yeah.
And Max, why would you not want to do that, besides the fact that...
So target rounds are full metal jacket. A target round, a full metal jacket round, that's designed to just go in the distance. It doesn't dispense any of its energy when it hits the target. Self-defense rounds, whether they be hollow points or some states like New Jersey call them dum-dum rounds, soft point bullets, any bullet that's designed to basically mushroom out as you shoot it. Self-defense rounds, when you shoot them at someone, God forbid you ever need to, when you do, it's designed to expel all of its energy on the target that you're shooting. The reason that's important is if you live in a city or even if you live in the suburbs, if you fire target rounds inside, it will go through exterior walls. It will leave your property. It will go through interior walls, right? If you're shooting someone in one room and you use target rounds, you run the serious risk of that round after you hit them, exiting them, going through a wall and still hitting an innocent bystander with enough force to kill or injure them.
Well, even if it's one house away, right? I mean, you're talking. Yeah. It can travel.
Well, a rifle round, yeah. A rifle round,
It can travel hundreds of yards. And yesterday I saw a video that they had FMJs, full metal jackets, in a 9mm. Right. I'm going to tell you that I know a lot about guns, so it was a 365, one of the newer P365s, and he shows them and he pulls the magazine out, not the clip, the magazine out. And it had FMJ rounds in it. And I'm thinking about it's full metal jacket rounds. And I'm thinking to myself, how irresponsible. You fire that gun at someone.
They do that because it's cheap, it's cheaper, and they don't know better. But if they fire it at someone, whoever's behind the person's getting hit too.
And it could kill them. Keep in mind, it could kill them. You could kill multiple people with one round by having FMJ rounds, right? So there's just, they didn't, this is the reason why we find ourselves in this position where we just say it's not what they're doing is not logical. Like there's no logic to what they're doing. They're allowing criminal enterprises to exist. They're allowing them to create themselves. And look, I'm all for reform. I think that police reform has to happen to get rid of bad apples. We've talked about this before. I want to make sure that there's enough of a ceiling above all of the good police officers to weed out the bad police officers without a threat of being fired. Because there have been good police officers that have stopped people from abusing, and they've been fired immediately. I mean, there's a woman down in Texas, fired, right? There's one in Alabama, fired. There's one in Arkansas, fired, right? So there's a lot of people that get fired for standing up for people. And I want to make sure that that gets taken away. But I also want to go a little bit deeper, Max, and I want to go after these criminal prosecutors that abuse their power. See, to me, the prosecutor's office is actually the most dangerous thing. The judge's most dangerous thing. Those two things are the most dangerous thing we face, not the police officers. The police officers, 99% of the people that have those interactions, right? Those are good interactions, right? Those are things that that restore the integrity of what's happening in the community. But a bad prosecutor's office or bad judges, think about how many people that they adversely affect. Just think about it. It's not even on a scale we can't even understand. And by the way, a lot of those are people that just get reelected every time. Like, oh yeah, check the box. Yeah, I want to reelect them. Right? Yeah, reelect them. And the ones that aren't elected, that are appointed, oh my goodness, and people want to say it's not epidemic. It's epidemic how many bad judges there are. It's the proportion of bad judges right now is probably 10 times that of what you could say about any police officer. It's just 10 times that.
Sherry just wrote in that the prosecutors are about to announce their decision in Atlanta on whether to prosecute the cop. We should stay live if it's going to happen soon.
Yeah, let's stay live for sure. Let's stay live. So we'll stay on here. But
I'll see if I can find that.
If we do not start addressing bad judges and bad prosecutors, nothing that we do on police reform will matter, because that is not where the problem lies. That's a symptom of the problem. It allows bad police officers to push through bad cases. It allows it. And it allows judges to give disproportionate sentences of 3.9 times higher. Like if you're a black man in the U.S., your sentence is 3.9 times more than if you're white in the U.S. That's statistics. I'm sorry, you can't fight it. There is a problem. There's a disproportionate amount of justice that's doled out, but it starts with judges and it starts with prosecutors' offices. And frankly, they let bad people go and they attack good people. That's what they do, and that's what they're doing now.
Yeah,
Sherry said $1 million he's charged with a criminal charges. I'm not sure he will be, Sherry. I actually don't think that they're going to end up charging the guy in Atlanta.
I think they are.
Well, we're going to find out here in a minute, but I don't think that. I would be surprised if they did. If they did, I think it would be a miscarriage of justice, and I think it would be the same thing that we're looking at with this as we do with everything else. That hey, we want to stay popular. We don't want to do the right thing. Doing what's right is not what's important. You know, doing what follows the law, what falls within the guidelines of their department. If you're doing what the department tells you can do, and you stay within those guidelines, someone shoots something at you, man, you know what? You got to take them down.
I'm messaging you, Josh, over Facebook to see if there's
So
any
Sherry
way to put
said,
that picture in picture.
I get a free T-shirt if I'm right. Okay. I'm willing to take that bet, Sherry. I'll take that bet with you. Free T-shirt if you're right. If you're wrong,
I was going to say you should never wager with money you don't have.
You got to buy. But if you're wrong, you have to buy 2 T-shirts.
Yeah, buy. Yeah.
What do you think, Sherry? You got to buy 2 T-shirts if you're wrong, and we will give you a free T-shirt if you're right. Come on, Sherry. Say yes. Give me a nod in the comments. Okay, deal. Good.
Okay, deal.
We got it. All right. Good deal. So as the further we get down this rabbit hole, Max, we start talking about things that I think are ridiculously important. Like the thing that to me that is most important, if we just talk about what's happening in Albuquerque, is that sensibility. Right, the fact that we actually have prosecutors' offices and I can hear that. Are you bringing that in?
Yeah, he's trying to bring that in.
Okay. Well,
that's the live stream.
Yeah.
See if we can bring it in. If we can, we don't have to go right away. Oh, it is in. Okay. Um,
Can we bring it in?
is that playing or is that pause?
I think it's paused. There we go.
Okay, turn down the volume on it.
Yeah, turn down the volume. It's covering me up, but you can't see me anyway. So
and then hide it. I'll let you know when it's time to play it.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Couldn't we get anything better than ABC News? I mean, is that what we really had to have?
That's the best. That's the
Yeah,
best.
promote-
But since it's newsworthy, we have the right to share it.
Right,
In
'cause we're
fair
on
use.
it.
So
All right.
we'll throw that up as soon as he goes live. He was supposed to go live 7 minutes ago, but he's taking his
All right.
sweet time, I guess.
So, Max, if Geraldo keeps blabbering about it's not justified, Geraldo? Like, that's the person.
Yeah,
Sherry?
Geraldo's.
Who is Geraldo? I thought I actually thought maybe he was done. He'd retired.
No, he's still there. I mean, Geraldo was the guy who went into Al Capone's safe
Yeah.
and tried to make it out to be some big blockbuster event, and they opened it and there's nothing in it. Geraldo's all about making a name for himself. I disagree. The shooting in Atlanta was absolutely justified. We talked about it. It's absolutely justified because he had a weapon used against him. Even just the act of pointing the taser at him was justification for him to use deadly force, not necessarily to kill him, but to stop the threat, which is what he did. If they charge him, it's going to be an absolute disgrace, which we'll see. We'll bring it in there if they end up charging him. But I mean, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the vilification of anyone who dares to use force to defend themselves, whether they be a police officer, whether they be a civilian. If you want to defend yourself against the mob, you have no right to do it. And they're defunding the police, so don't bother calling them. They're not going to show up, as we saw in that case in the Chaz with the people who own a car repair shop or whatever it was. It was some kind of car accessory store. They were being robbed. There was arsonists trying to burn down their business, and the cops wouldn't show up. And then when they just detained them, just so they could hold them until the cops did show up, the mob tore down their fence and started pushing towards them. Now is the most important time. If you haven't already, get a gun, be trained in how to use it, make sure you're trained, and read up on the self-defense laws in your state. That's important because a lot of people think that they're allowed to do things that they're not allowed to do.
And
training and read the law.
And just make sure that you're hyper aware. Look, even if you get proper training to begin with, right? You go to a range, you said, okay, I put 5 rounds down range, 20 rounds down range. Make sure that you practice. Like, you would never go out there.
Yeah.
Just think about this. You would never try to get on the basketball court if you've never played basketball and say, hey, I'm going to play pickup basketball in a competitive game. Right? You wouldn't do it. But if you wanted to play basketball, you'd practice over and over and over again. You're talking about taking somebody's life. You're talking about putting yourself in a position where you're defending you, your family, or other people around you. And to do that without training, I think, is absolutely irresponsible. It's irresponsible. And it puts you in a bad light. So you need to know the laws. You need to be well trained. You need to continually train yourself. And the other thing I want to say, Max, and we've talked about this before, shooting another human being will change you forever.
It will. Even if you are found not guilty, even if you aren't
found not
prosecuted,
guilty,
it'll change you forever.
Unless you're a sociopath, right, which would make you a Democrat. But unless you're did I say that out loud? Oh, man. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe not Democrat, but definitely a Democrat politician. But if you fire a gun and it kills another human being, there's nothing in you that would not feel for that other human being, regardless of whether you were justified or not. Even if you killed someone that broke into your home, and having seen death and destruction all over the world, I can tell you that I feel for every single person that loses their life, regardless of whether or not they were the perpetrator or they were the victim. And so
you never want to have to use it. It's one of those things that you train hoping that you never have to use it. No one wants to use a firearm. No one wants to take someone's life, unless they are, as you mentioned, psychopaths or sociopaths. They have no remorse. The vast majority, though, don't want to have to use their gun, and they only want to use their gun if their life is being threatened, which, again, we saw that in New Mexico where the man, he only drew his gun after he was already taken to the ground and being beaten by 3 people. He would have been justified to pull the gun, at the very least, when he got hit in the head with a skateboard, right? He would have been justified to pull the gun when he got hit in the head with a skateboard for a second time.
Right.
He would have been justified to pull the gun if he had gotten hit by any of the other 3 or 4 people that attacked him. But he only did it once 3 people were on top of him hitting him. And when he was on the ground, taken to the ground, it was a textbook definition of a self-defense shoot. And to see him vilified, that's why I say make sure that you read the laws. It's one thing to be trained, yes, but the people who do the training aren't always well-versed in the law.
No, they're not.
Make sure you read your state's laws, because every state has different self-defense laws. And if you travel across the country and you have reciprocity, just because you have reciprocity, that's not it. You still need to know the laws of the states you're visiting. Right. So make sure that you read those laws.
Hence the fact you're telling me not to go to Chaz and conceal carry.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's definitely up there, because they're not going to arrest the people who are tearing down the statue. They're not going to arrest the people who beat his head in with a skateboard. They only arrested the guy who fired the shot.
They did not arrest him. The videos show them actually beating them, and they did not arrest any of those people. So I want to point that out.
Yeah.
Not only did he get beaten with a skateboard, not only did they yell, "I'm going to kill you," not once but twice. Not only did people beat on him from every angle, but they charged him and they charged no one else. Yeah. They let a mob literally try and kill a man and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're going to charge you." You know why we're going to charge you? Because you deserve to be charged, because that man who tried to beat you to death, he was struck by your bullets, right?
Yeah. Well, that was something also that the family of Rayshard Brooks, their attorney, tried to bring in, that the police officer, when he fired his weapon in self-defense, which, again, anyone watching now, make sure you hit the share button, because the reason we're kind of stretching this long and we're still going is because the prosecutor in Atlanta is about to announce, and we're going to bring that live on here when they make that announcement, on whether or not they're going to prosecute and indict or seek an indictment, I guess, the officer involved. So hit that share button now if you haven't already, because we're going to go live as soon as that comes up. And Joyce is writing, if you can show us the video. We have the video in the early parts. I don't want to play it right now because we're waiting on this to go live. But if you do rewind, you can see we played the whole clip in New Mexico of how this guy, whether or not he was pushing or shoving at the actual statue, is irrelevant to me, because
but you can't see. We haven't seen one video that shows that.
I know, but even if he was, what I'm saying is, even if he was pushing and shoving people, right? He retreated, he ran down the road, he was chased, and he was beaten. Right now, yeah, they're testing the mics in Atlanta, so they're getting ready to go. Right. So we'll bring that live as soon as they go with that. But it was absolutely justified, and I guess let's play it. We can play it one more time. Let's go to cut 2.
All right, here you go, Joyce. We're cutting quick. Boom. Hit him right there.
Yep. Hit him in the head. They're chasing him across the street.
He's leaving. He's got his sunglasses in his hand, or glass case.
That's his phone. His phone's in his hand.
It is a phone. You're right.
He gets hit by one, thrown to the ground by another. He's getting hit by another one. And here comes the third person with the skateboard, and that's when he fired.
Yeah.
We cut that there.
We have another have another one that I sent to you, Josh, that is the version that shows clearly that he.
Yeah, but we can't show that because it is. I put it in the description on YouTube and Facebook. If people want to cut it, we can't play that because we will get taken down because they do have a watermark on it.
No, this is one without a watermark. This is one without a watermark.
It has an imminent from the Daily Mail.
Oh, it does? All right, so we won't play that.
I tried to pull it up.
All right, we're in the process of trying to get access to that as well. Just so everyone's aware, we're trying to get access to the permission to actually show that video. So we'll put it in the description.
The good news is that that Cops, the TV show Cops, has come back and said that we were allowed to use that footage that they had challenged a couple days ago. No, don't sing it. We're not allowed to do that.
I almost did. I was like this.
I just waged a week-long copyright battle, and you're not going to go sing it again.
I'm not going to sing it. I'm not going to sing. Can I say it? Can I say the lyrics?
No, you can't even say it.
I can't even say the lyrics. You guys are you're ruining my fun. Why are you trying to take away my fun? I wanted to have a little bit of fun with it. Right?
Yeah,
skateboards are deadly weapons. You're daggone right it is, Mark. Absolutely. You're right. It is. skateboards are a deadly weapon. I mean, if it would have hit him, I don't know if you know what trucks are, but the trucks are the wheels. He swung in order to use the trucks, not the wood part, but he was swinging the metal part of the skateboard at this gentleman's head, right? So
yeah,
you're right.
Derek wrote in that the news is reporting that he attacked several people. We played that video. The only thing the video actually shows is that him and other people went to the ground. There was pushing and shoving going on, but it was not an attack. There's no video that we found that was like an attack. There was some pushing and shoving, but that was a separate incident from the actual shoot. The shoot, he was chased down the street by people who were ganging up on him. Whether or not he had pushed and shoved people in front of the statue was irrelevant, because he only drew his weapon. We went through the whole video. He only drew his weapon, at least from what we can see in all the videos. He only drew it when he was on the ground being pummeled by 3 people. So again, that's why we're kind of having this podcast, because the media is lying about it. We played that in the beginning about how Shannon Watts is lying.
Why would we?
Because they have an agenda.
That's the point.
Shannon Watts heads up Moms Demand Action. She is in bed with Bloomberg. She's one of the top gun control activists in the country. The reason that she shared a video suggesting that he just was shooting at people protesting, the reason that they did that is because she has an agenda. She wants to use this as an excuse to go after the Second Amendment. That's why.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah. So my point is this. If Bloomberg is a billionaire, right? Let me follow the math for you. If Bloomberg is a billionaire and he lives in New York, right? And he's domiciled in New York, and he's pushing his agenda on every other state, and he's spending hundreds of millions of dollars in order to do it, right? And he's in a position of power. He has armed guards that protect him. Why? Just ask yourself, if you're an American, why would this man in New York be doing this in other states? Why would he be funding organizations in order to take away your ability to protect you and your family? It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the fact that he's a midget. That's what it has to do with. Okay, maybe that's not it, but I'm going to say it anyway. He's a very, very insecure man.
In Atlanta, they are setting up what I can only describe as exhibits. They're going to have some boards to put on an easel to explain their decision. I guess they're just setting those up in Atlanta. And once that gets set up, we're going to go live with the prosecutor in Atlanta.
It's coming, so stay
announcing
with us.
whether or not. Yeah, so stay with us. Hit that share button if you haven't already. We're going to go live with the Atlanta prosecutor announcing whether it's going to be Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard Jr. It was supposed to start 19 minutes ago, so they're a little late. They're doing a head count for cameras, checking the mics,
Sherry's
checking
getting
everything.
ready. Sherry's getting ready to buy a couple T-shirts. Sherry, it'll be the best T-shirts you can wear them proud.
Well, she said that he would be charged.
Who said? What?
Well, Sherry
said he would be
charged.
charged, and I said he wouldn't be charged. He would not be charged.
I think he's going to be charged. I think
he's not going to be charged.
He shouldn't be. He shouldn't be charged, but
No.
I think they will charge him. There's no excuse for it unless there's something we don't know. Unless he fired a shot before that taser went off. Unless there's something we don't know, he shouldn't be charged. But I think they're going to do it.
No way,
Joe. They burned down. They burned down one building just on the news.
Good. That's
I know, but
that's
I'm
fine.
telling you, they're afraid.
What? You don't charge someone because you're afraid. You
I know,
charge
but
someone
these
because they
people
did
are
something
cowards.
wrong. This is what I talk
not saying
about when
they
I say
should.
that the prosecutors and the judges are by themselves. That is the core of what we need to be talking about.
Yeah.
Not the police
I'm
officers.
not saying they should, but I think they're going to. And,
Yeah,
and Sherry,
look,
Sherry's commenting a bunch. I do think that if they do it, they might bring in negligence.
No.
But
he shot him because he shot at him.
I have a sinking feeling. they're going to
Yeah,
charge him.
I don't think so. I think they're bringing boards in. I'm looking forward to Sherry buying 2 T-shirts from us. Sherry, get ready. You're going to buy 2.
Well, now it's as good of a chance as any to talk about our sponsor while we're waiting for this. Today's podcast is brought to you, of course, by the Conservative Daily Store. Let's throw that image up again. We're promoting this T-shirt, Invade Chaz. Help the channel, help the podcast. Facebook and YouTube don't want us to monetize this, so if you like this kind of content and you like the shirt, definitely pick one up. The link is in the description on YouTube and on Facebook if you want to help out the channel. And it's a cool shirt. Yeah, if they were going to let him off, they wouldn't be bringing in Exhibit A and Exhibit B.
Nope, they would. They would be bringing Exhibit A and Exhibit B because they want to make sure that they quell any violence. And by the way, if there is violence as a result of this, they should because it has nothing to do with justice. People aren't looking for justice. They're looking for excuses to riot and loot. And by the way, I just want people to know, Atlanta is one of the highest per capita gun ownership places in the country. I mean, so if I was going to loot, I would not be looting there because there's a high probability you're going to get shot. And business owners down in the South, they don't mess around. They don't mess around.
So what does it say? What does it say to civilians? This is like the ultimate question. What does it say to civilians to see a police officer get fired upon, shoots back, and now we're waiting to decide whether he's not going to go to jail or not? A police officer.
Right. Yeah.
Police officer was shot at, albeit with a taser, sure, but that still justifies the use of force in response.
Right.
A police officer was shot at, and we're now waiting on pins and needles to figure out whether he's going to go to jail or not. What does that say to the civilian? If a police officer has to wait to find out his fate, how could any civilian in their right mind use defensive force? I mean, if I was in Atlanta right now, I'd be terrified because, yes, I have a right to defend myself, but just because I have a right doesn't necessarily mean that these prosecutors are going to honor that right. Right?
Yeah.
Even if you end up surviving, you could be bankrupted just by the civil suits alone.
Right.
But
we're looking
really
at
sad.
We're looking at a complete weaponization of our society against us, right? We are looking at a deep state, and the deep state, by the way, is in government. The deep state is these trillion-dollar entities. Just think about that, folks. People are still making $12,000, $15,000, $18,000 a year being fed food stamps, while these guys are worth $100 billion, $200 billion, $300 billion, $500 billion. I don't care that they're worth billions. I think it's great. I think in a society where you can actually, move yourself to a position where you can make that amount, I applaud you. What I don't applaud is the fact that you've come together against the American people, against who you consider peasants. And that's what's happened. We have the government that's putting oppression on us, and then we have big pharma and big tech. You're right, Sherry. It's that they literally are putting their thumbs on us and saying, we're going to tell you what to think. These are sickos, man.
Yeah.
These are sociopaths. These are sick, sick, sick people. I just can't. I can't even fathom what we're actually going through right now. I just can't. I mean, Max, I almost feel as if we are in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. We're in some sort of bad movie, an episode of The Simpsons. Like we're sitting in some environment where we have no courage. We've gotten so far to the left that courage is something that just doesn't exist anymore. We're being stripped of our manhood, but stripped of our. And I don't mean to make little of the women that by the way, seem to have more courage than the men. I'm going to tell you right now, women, there's no one that I've seen with more courage than a mama bear.
Don't say that. You're going to get canceled.
Why?
Because you can't be saying anything derogatory about women.
I didn't say anything derogatory about women.
And the way you said mama could make people could infer you're talking about black women. I don't want you to get canceled. Listen, they're trying to cancel. They're trying to cancel Domino's Pizza.
Tell me you're not serious.
Kayleigh McEnany. They're trying to cancel Domino's Pizza because Kayleigh McEnany gave them a compliment in 2012. I mean, there's people out there. I'm kidding, but I mean, what I think is funny, and we're kind of just riffing a bit because this prosecutor is taking his sweet time. What I think is funny is that the left is just now bringing up Aunt Jemima pancake mix. And just now bringing up Uncle Ben's rice.
Okay.
Those are racist brands. Those are absolutely racist brands. But like the fact that they're just now figuring that out, okay.
So let me bring something up. So there's Sherry. It's a 92-year-old lady that was knocked out by that kid in New York, right? And I don't know if you saw it, but she got knocked to the ground. He was just walking by, and he's like, boom. He reaches out and he punches her, right? Knocks her in the head.
He got arrested, though. He didn't get arrested.
Time out. I'm going to get to that. He got arrested, but he had been arrested more than 100 times. 100. He has more than 100 criminal charges. He's a sex offender, right? And I'm talking about multiple sex offenders, sex offenses. Yeah. And this is in the last 5 years, Max. Last 5 years. And they keep catching and releasing him, almost like a fish. He's had a hook in him so many times right? He preys on people who are the most vulnerable among us, and yet these prosecutors and these judges keep putting him back out in the street to harm and hurt Americans. That is the greatest example of what we're dealing with right now is sickos.
Yeah.
We're dealing with sickos that don't care about the American people. Like, what are they going to do to me other than me? I'm the judge. He just keeps coming in front of me. I'll keep giving him, 3 to 5 to 10 days. Maybe we'll give him a couple months. But we're going to just put them back on the street so that they can actually they're creating a business of crime. The business just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. How do I hurt people? How do I hurt people? How do I justify, us? Just put us back in the market. Put him back. He's not going to hurt anyone. What if she would have died?
Yeah, she could have. I mean, that's like the knockout game from a couple of years ago, where it was a game for teenagers just to punch random people in the streets, and a lot of times it was black teenagers targeting old white men and old white women. Yeah, you can die. I mean, it's absolutely possible to die, hit your head.
And do you know what stopped that, by the way? Do you know what stopped that game? That guy that got killed in, I thought it was Indiana, but it might not have been. That they playing the knockout game, they hit the guy. The guy was armed, turned around, shot the kid dead. And everybody's like, we're not playing that game anymore because we forgot about the fact that people are going to shoot back. And then it became real to them that, hey, you try to knock us out and we're going to fire back. Not charged.
Yeah.
Right?
We're just waiting on this prosecutor in Atlanta. It looked like something was happening. They're getting ready. Now there's people standing at the cameras.
All right.
We're
so
just waiting.
Do you want to bring it in, or do we want to wait until it gets?
I don't want to bring it in yet because in order for us to be able to talk about this, we have to be able to talk on top of it and add commentary.
Right.
So we can only use. It's so stupid that we have to do this, but we can only use the minimum amount of footage necessary to share the news story, the newsworthy event. So it's stupid, but someone has to watch our copyright.
Yeah, just to make sure we don't.
They're pulling it up. We can go live now.
All right, let's go live. Everywhere we're going live. This is the decision to charge or not charge the police officer.
And producer Josh, if you could turn that down a little bit. There we go. So they're getting ready. They're going to now. I think that they're going to charge him with something. It's I hope they don't, but I have a feeling that they are going to charge him with something. Yeah, now you don't bring out the whole team if you're going to let him off the hook. This guy's very sweaty.
Yeah, they're not going to charge him. Sherry, you're going to be buying 2 T-shirts. I pray they don't charge him.
Started today. I wanted to acknowledge Mrs. Miller, who is the
you can turn it up a little bit
of
Mr. Producer
Brooks. She is here today with her attorney, and after we make our presentation, she is going to make some remarks, or Mr. Stewart. We also have
the fact that they invited her is leading me to believe he's going to get charged.
From West
Unbelievable.
Memphis, Tennessee, and they are here with their lawyer, Sean Williams, and we are also going to ask Mr. Williams to address you as well. So we have decided to issue warrants in this case today. I have with me copies of the warrants, and after my presentation, we will let you know how you can get copies of the warrants.
They're charging him.
I don't know if they are charging him.
So
Hold on.
the question
They're issuing warrants. You don't issue warrants to a dead man, Joe.
Were we able to charge this case now? So I want to explain that we have already had an opportunity to speak with 3 of the witnesses in this case, and those are the 3 witnesses who were from West Memphis, Tennessee.
Hit the share button, people. This is unbelievable.
Interviews with 7 other witnesses other than the 3 witnesses from Tennessee. We've also had an opportunity to view Let's see if you can turn it on.
This guy fired a gun because he had a taser pointed at him and fired at him. And they're charging him with something.
Turn it up. Excuse me. There you go. So, Tracy, that's fine, bro. So
Unreal.
we have had an opportunity to review 8 videotapes, 2 Atlanta body cam tapes, 2 Atlanta Police Department dash cam tapes.
All right, turn the volume up a little bit, Mr.
Mr.
Producer.
To review a Wendy's surveillance tape.
Oh, it's maxed out. Sorry, it's maxed out. They're charging him with something.
Citizen cell phone videos. With many of the videos, we had the opportunity to enhance the videos so that we could get a better look. The other thing that we have had an opportunity to do is to view some of the physical evidence. The Chevrolet Trailblazer was a vehicle that was in the line at Wendy's on the night of this incident, and it received a shot from Officer Roth's gun. We've had an opportunity, along with the GBI now.
How does that have anything to do with any of this?
View that Trailblazer. My office has had an opportunity to inspect the crime scene. We have conducted a canvass of the area. We started our investigation at about 1:15 a.m. on Saturday morning, and we have been working on this case around the clock since that time. Go to the next slide. We have spent some time examining the taser evidence in this case. We've actually examined and possessed the 2 tasers that were used. We have also had an opportunity to examine the taser logs that are prepared as the tasers are used. And we have also consulted with a taser expert from the company that manufactures the tasers.
And they're still going to charge him.
Preliminary medical autopsy. We've received a preliminary ballistics report. And in reaching our conclusions today, we have worked with both the Georgia Bureau of Investigation as well as the Atlanta Police Department.
This is insane.
This will be the 4th time that we have asked that arrest warrants are issued in a case before an indictment.
Oh, so they're arresting him.
This lists the other 3 cases that we were involved with where an arrest warrant was issued prior to indictment.
So they haven't received.
This marks the
They haven't secured an indictment.
Prosecution of police officers.
They're arresting him without an indictment.
Correct. In our county, and this is the 9th time that we've prosecuted a homicide case committed by a police officer. 8 of those
This is unreal.
cases involved black males, and 1 of those cases involved a black female. So in reaching our decision, there were some considerations that we considered important.
The considerations, other than self-defense.
One of the things that we noted from our evaluation was that Mr. Brooks, on the night of this incident, was calm, he was cordial, and he displayed a cooperative nature.
What?
Secondly, even though Mr. Brooks was...
He resisted arrest and fought them to the ground.
Let him talk, let him talk.
His demeanor during this incident was almost jovial. Also, we noted that he received many instructions from the Atlanta officers, and he was asked many questions. Some of the questions he was asked repeatedly, but for 41 minutes and 17 seconds, he followed every instruction. He answered the questions. The 4th thing we noted is that Mr. Brooks was never informed that he was under arrest for driving under the influence. And this is a requirement of the Atlanta Police Department when one is charged with the DUI. He
didn't get a chance to.
Department's own procedures require that that person
They were literally
was
putting him under
informed
arrest. He
immediately
resisted.
that they are under arrest. And then he was grabbed from the rear by Officer Roth, who made an attempt to physically restrain him.
So they're claiming this was an unlawful arrest?
17-second discussion. We concluded and considered it as one of our important considerations that Mr. Brooks
Oh my God.
never presented himself as a threat.
What?
At the very beginning, he was
Wow.
peacefully sleeping in his car.
Peacefully
He was
sleeping.
passed
He was awakened by the officer. He was cooperative, and he was directed to move his car to another location. He calmly moved his car. Mr. Brooks was asked whether or not he had a weapon. He indicated that he did not.
Phil, because he
Without
hadn't
any
stolen it
resistance,
yet.
He passed his driver's license
Quiet
to
for a
the
minute.
officers, and the officers then asked Mr. Brooks whether or not he would consent to a pat-down or a body search, and Mr. Brooks allowed them to search him, and the search yielded no weapon. We found
He
that
hadn't
was a
stolen it
difference
yet.
That when the officers patted Mr. Brooks down, they noticed there was a bulge in his pants. They did not pull that item out of his pocket. They took Mr. Brooks's word that that bulge represented a number of dollar bills. But Mr. Brooks never displayed any aggressive behavior during the 41 minutes and 17 seconds. Now,
Wow.
this is a
Police officers all over the country are going to quit today.
important
Watch.
consideration
They're gonna
that
quit.
we discovered
We're gonna
as
have
we
lawlessness.
evaluated This case.
This is what I'm talking about, Max.
Once
This
Mr.
guy is the
Brooks was
problem.
shot, there is an Atlanta
They're saying that, oh, he was very peaceful until he resisted arrest. He had no weapon until he stole it from the police
timely
officer.
medical attention to
This
Mr.
guy's a
Brooks or
clown.
anyone who is injured. But after Mr. Brooks was shot, for some period of 2 minutes and 12 seconds, there was no medical attention applied to Mr. Brooks.
So that-
but when
Oh my
we
God.
examined the videotape and in our discussions with witnesses, what we discovered is
100%.
during the 2 minutes and 12 seconds
100%.
that Officer
All the police
Roth
officers should quit.
actually kicked Mr. Brooks
They should quit.
while he laid on the ground, while he was there fighting for his life. Secondly, from the videotape,
So now
we
they're
were
saying
able
that they
to
kicked
see
him too.
that the other officer, Officer Brosnan, actually stood on Mr. Brooks's shoulders while he was there struggling for his life.
He pointed a weapon at officers.
We were able to conclude that based on the way that these officers conducted themselves while Mr. Brooks was lying there, that the demeanor of the officers immediately after the shooting did not reflect
Wow.
any fear or danger of Mr. Brooks, but their
That's
actions
bullshit.
really reflected other kinds of emotions.
That's not how it works.
So
You're in fear for your life. How you act after that has nothing to do with it.
Showing our legal conclusion in this case, we
This is
were
a
led
sham.
by the two foundational cases in this matter.
If you haven't hit share already, hit the share button. This is a sham.
And what that case points out is when an officer is pursuing a fleeing suspect, that the officer may not use deadly force to prevent escape unless the officer has probable cause to believe that the suspect poses an immediate threat
Max.
of death.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
of serious
I want you to
physical
do a
injury
GoFundMe.
to that
I want you to reach out to the cop. I want to do a
The
GoFundMe
next
for this
foundational
police officer
case
for
that, we use
Huh?
in our analysis is
Okay.
Graham
interview. So
versus
just I want you to
Thomas.
reach out to the
Says
cop.
that this test
This is-
based
he's about to be
upon
arrested.
That of a reasonable officer on the scene.
No, there
and
isn't.
Not the individual officer. but
You're not
a
allowed to shoot a fleeing perp, but if the perp turns around and fires a weapon at you, you're allowed to fire him. This is
At the
BS.
time Mr. Brooks was shot, that he did not pose an immediate threat of death or serious physical injury to the officer.
That's
or
not how the law
you would get the
in
photograph.
Georgia works. It's not up to them to decide. It's whether or not the individual felt threatened. It's not up to them. It's the individual, whether he felt threatened or not. To say that he didn't feel threatened is irrelevant.
They just threw the. They did. By the way, they just threw the Constitution out. They threw the law out completely. They threw it out. They just threw it out the window.
Well, no,
and they said it doesn't matter.
Lying.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, they're lying. Of course they're lying.
They're lying.
Of course they're lying.
Click it to see if you can get a straight one.
Oh my God. This is unreal.
Hey, they're as crooked as their sign is. Their sign's crooked, so are they.
Yeah.
Is the point that Officer Roth at this point was firing a taser.
You can see the taser!
Brooks, who was firing a taser as well, but I don't know if you can see it clearly. The prongs from the table, the taser, were actually fired above
That doesn't matter!
Roth's head.
Unbelievable. Because the taser barbs did not hit him. He knows that when he's shooting. He doesn't know that. He doesn't even know if it's actually in him. Your adrenaline's going. You can't tell what's going on at that point. This guy's a clown. This guy's a clown.
Draw a weapon, and he saw it fire. And because this idiot is able to go into still frame and see that the barbs are off target, he's now declaring that it was unreasonable for that officer to fear for his life. This is crap. This is, oh my gosh.
Yep, Kevin, there's no justice at all. No justice in Georgia. Constitution got thrown in the garbage just like it did for the last 90 days through COVID.
At the next photograph, we'll see that the positions of both parties, they've changed. Mr. Brooks
100%.
has now
100%.
moved away from his original position, and we estimate the distance is probably about 12 feet. And
a taser can fire 15
Officer
feet.
Roth has moved about 10 feet from the position in
Wow.
is our exhibit number
Wow.
1.
This is the craziest thing. Max, you need to reach out to the police officer. We need to
He's about
start
to be
this
arrested. They're literally on their way to arrest him right now.
while he's listening to it on TV.
No, he's probably already in custody. Because the last thing they want is for him to see this and then run away.
Whole place is corrupt. It's corrupt. The corruption is unbelievable.
Was 18 feet 3 inches at the time that this shot was fired.
Oh my
So,
God.
Based upon that
So
information,
the taser can fire 15 feet. They're saying he was 18 feet away. They're concluding that the taser couldn't have hurt him.
How does he know? Does he have a?
that the shot was fired.
He doesn't know how far away he
This
is.
is, oh my God.
Twice in
This
the
is,
back. One of the shots was a center shot to the back.
Oh my
that penetrated his heart, and it was done by a 9mm
this
Glock.
is,
Now, one of the things that we also relied upon in our conclusion
this is
something
unbelievable.
that is called under the law, referred to as an excited utterance. And
I
that's
agree
when
with you, Dwayne. I hope all
someone makes
officers refuse
an
to
immediate
arrest the guy,
statement,
and they do
and
resign.
because
I
it was
agree.
made without the ability to consult with
Drive drunk,
counsel
resist
or
arrest,
to
fight
think
with the
about it,
officers,
under
fire at the
law,
officers. You can do
the
anything you
let
want.
me
Right?
hear it.
utterance is considered as highly reliable. And at the time that the shot was fired, the utterance made by Officer Roth was, "I got him." That was the statement that was made at that time.
Yeah. So that's, they're using
We
that,
also
they're using the
know
fact that the
that
officer said, I got him.
Was firing a taser at Mr. Brooks. The City of Atlanta SOPs, in fact,
This
prohibit
is, oh,
officers
this
from
is
firing
gross.
tasers at someone who is running away. So the City of Atlanta says you cannot even fire a taser at someone who's running away. So you
was-
certainly can't fire.
They didn't fire at him because he ran away. They fired because he turned around and fired at them.
Running away. So, in addition to,
Hey, just tell him it's
our
recorded.
findings,
Just tell him it's
as
recorded,
many
just so
of
you know. We
all
can actually get his
already
real
know,
number. Tell him it's
that
recorded.
The Atlanta mayor,
Don't call again.
Mayor Keisha Bottoms, and the police department.
Yeah, we have a troll who's calling.
concluded That Officer Roth's actions were excessive and in violation of APD's SOP. There's an SOP, I believe it's
That's
4.1.1, And
So we
after
talked
their
about this today.
analysis, that
His right to defend himself is not as a police officer, it's as an individual. Saying that he violated department policy means little in this case because he's not being prosecuted as a police officer, he's being prosecuted as a citizen.
That it was fired twice. And once it's fired twice, it presented no danger to him or to any other person.
Oh, so now, oh my God.
We have had something quite remarkable to happen in this case. And
yeah, I'm watching it.
Testimony of the other officer, Devin Brosnan, because Officer Brosnan has now become a state's witness. He has decided to testify on behalf of the state in this case. What he has said to us, that is within a matter of days, he plans to make a statement regarding the culpability of Officer Roth.
Unreal. So they got the other cop to turn against him.
Not psychologically willing to give that statement today.
But he's not willing to give that statement today.
Officer Brosnan,
not psychologically
however,
willing.
has admitted that he was in fact standing on Mr. Brooks's body immediately after the shooting.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So these are the charges that we have had filed today, signed by
one
of our Superior Court judges. These are the 11 charges against Officer Roth.
They're charging him with 11 charges.
Murder. This is a
felony murder. Felony murder.
As a result of a underlying felony, and in this case, the underlying felony is aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
The underlying felony is aggravated assault.
The sentences for a felony murder conviction would be life without parole, or the death penalty.
They're going to put him to death?
He's also charged.
This is crazy. This is crazy.
With aggravated
police
assault
officers should walk off everywhere.
And,
they should all walk off. The union should come together and literally walk everybody off. Just say, look, you're on your own.
Of Mr. Brooks.
Every one of them. The police officers should strike across the entire country.
Is 1 to 20 years. The
other charge is 20 years.
The third aggravated assault account is for the shooting towards or in the direction of Mr. Melvin Evans. Mr. Evans was the person who was seated in the car.
Oh my God, they're charging him for the ricochet. They're charging him for the ricochet.
Yeah.
They are charging him for the ricochet that bounced off and hit a car.
Unbelievable.
And if you would point out, this automobile is the place that Mr.
Wow.
Evans
every police officer in the nation should walk out.
And a shot was
every
fired,
one of them.
And I believe we've also got a photo of
we are dealing with just the corrupt at the core. This is the corruption. This right here.
I think you got to stand it up.
Now look, we have bad police officers.
Sandra is asking us to be quiet. Sandra, we do have to talk, otherwise we're not legally allowed to use the footage. So we do have to talk over some of it.
Against Officer Roth, it charges him with aggravated assault for firing the weapon in or in the direction of Danielle Killians, who was in the passenger side of the front seat of the car.
Oh my God.
Next slide.
A ricochet hit a car, and they're charging with assault for every person who was in the car.
Aggravated assault charge, and this was a charge for shooting towards or in the direction of Michael Perkins. Mr. Perkins was seated in the rear of this same vehicle. At that time, there's a charge.
He shoots in self-defense. They're charging him for everyone in the direction of the shot he fired.
Also, Officer Roth is charged with 7 violations of office. Each one of those carries a 1 to 5 sentence. These are violations of his oath of office for the city of Atlanta, arresting Mr. Brooks for the DUI without immediately informing him of the arrests, shooting a taser at Mr. Brooks while he was running away, which again is a violation of Atlanta's own SOP. Thirdly, excessive force when shooting a firearm at Mr. Brooks. And number 4.
Did he just say that he also shot a taser at him?
To render timely medical aid. Those are the 4 violations of oath. The 8th is for
Oh my God.
kicking Mr. Brooks, and the possible
They're getting him
sentence
for kicking?
Mr. Brooks is from 1 to 20 years. And we
They're
actually
getting him for
have a
20 years for
photograph.
kicking him? This is political. This is absolutely political.
Every police officer in the nation should walk off the job. Like I'm not
Oh my
gonna.
God.
Look, we can cut it here. People can go actually watch it if they want to watch it.
Let's cut it here.
Let's cut it.
Let's cut that video.
Cut it.
So,
Sorry, guys, but
I
if
wa-
you
I
want to
wanna-
listen to the propaganda afterwards, we have no interest in it. We gave you it. They were
So-
charged. Sherry, you will get a free T-shirt. Just send us an instant message with all your information, and we'll get that over to you. Guys, I have to go, Max. I'm going to let you finish up. There's some more that you want to talk about, but
Yeah, I'll wrap this up. Thanks for staying overtime. I'll wrap this up and just explain what they're doing to this cop. They're
But
charging
let me
the cop.
say goodbye to everyone, and I want you to know that we are going to do something for this police officer down in Atlanta. And again, the fight is not over. The fight is just beginning. This is the beginning of the fight. And frankly, the fact that we can go to you don't cut it. He's going to talk, so don't cut the music. I'm going to tell you that guys, we're under siege from the illogical, from people that just are brain dead, and they want to attack the people that are good people amongst us. So yeah.
All right. Well, let me explain. Thanks for staying
Thanks, guys.
overtime. Let me just explain. We cut the video. Let me explain what that prosecutor just said. They're charging the police officer with murder, felony murder. They're also charging him with multiple cases of assault. Not only assault against the perpetrator, who, as the prosecutor admitted, fired a taser at him. The officer responded with deadly force after he was fired upon. Prosecutor doesn't deny that, but he says that because Rayshard Brooks fired the taser, they took a still frame and they showed the angle of the shot because they determined that the barbs from the taser would have flown over the police officer's head. They said that the officer had no reasonable expectation that he could be injured or killed by the threat of force against him. That is ridiculous. That's like saying that a perpetrator can shoot at a cop, but as long as the bullet's going over his head, the cop can't fire back. That is insane. So not only are they charging him, or they're seeking indictment. They haven't even received the indictment yet. They're arresting him before an indictment has come down. They're seeking indictment for felony murder. They're seeking indictments of assault against Rayshard Brooks, the gunshots. They said he also tried to fire a taser, which I didn't even know about. And they said, no, you're not allowed. So the people who said he should have used a less than lethal force against Rayshard Brooks, that was BS, because apparently he tried and it failed, saying you're not allowed to use a taser. They got him on the assault of the bullets being shot at Rayshard Brooks. They also got him on assault. They're trying to seek an indictment on assault because allegedly they kicked him when he was on the ground. So now they're trying to get him assault on that. They're also trying to get them on aggravated assault charges because one of the bullets ricocheted or missed its mark and hit another car in the drive-thru in the Wendy's parking lot. So they're trying to get the officer on assault with a deadly weapon against the 3 passengers of the car. Aggravated assault against the 3 passengers of the car because one of the shots he fired missed and hit a car. They're trying to, even though it didn't actually hurt anyone in the car, right? Even though it was one bullet and could not possibly have killed 3 people unless it's a magic bullet that's flying around. They're getting him with 3 aggravated assault charges because those people were in the car in the direction of the shots fired. And then they're getting him on charges for not honoring his oath, apparently not giving medical care fast enough, violating other responsibilities as an officer. I can't speak to that. I don't know the basics of what Atlanta police officers are required to do. I can't speak to that. But from a self-defense perspective, this is why we talked about this towards the end of the show today. We just showed a video earlier of a man being beaten by 3 people, thrown to the ground and attacked, hit in the head with a skateboard. He drew a weapon, fired 4 shots in self-defense. He's now arrested. It was a legal self-defense shoot. Doesn't matter. We showed videos of the mob at Chaz busting through a fence, claiming that a business owner had held someone hostage. That was a lie. Business owner found someone breaking in trying to burn down their store and held them, but the police wouldn't show up. And now we're seeing this in Atlanta, where the prosecutors are now have arrest warrants for the officer before the indictments have come down. That is very unusual. It's not impossible. It does happen. But for an officer who does not pose a flight risk to be arrested in a case that it's up in the air, whether it's self-defense, very unusual to arrest an officer in a it can go either way self-defense case when you won't even have charges yet. That's very unusual. But they're charging him with murder, felony murder, which carries the death penalty potentially. The death penalty. This officer fired a shot after the suspect turned around and fired a taser at him. And they're saying that's felony murder. This is absolutely political. When I say it's political, this is what I mean. This is not what prosecutors normally do. Usually prosecutors don't throw the book at someone like this. They are throwing the book at this officer to make a point. For one, they don't want their city to burn tonight. They know that if they had not charged this officer, Atlanta would burn to the ground tonight. And that is there's a fear that's an element of this. They're absolutely afraid of that. But they're throwing the book at him because this is political. They want this guy to go away. They truly believe that this guy is a racist cop killing black people. They've bought into the narrative that he killed someone while he's sleeping. We listened to it. This guy went through. He said, well, for 41 minutes and so seconds, Rayshard Brooks was very nice and very cordial. That doesn't matter. He resisted arrest, beat the officers up, took the fight to the ground, stole the taser, ran away, turned back, fired the taser at the officer, and only then did the officer use deadly force. I am at a loss. I'm not at a loss of words because I'm talking a bunch, but it is incredible how they are twisting the law with it, and they're saying, well, technically the barbs from the taser were at this trajectory, and technically we can tell from this still frame that it wouldn't have hit the officer, so we had no legitimate reason to use deadly force. Anyone who's been in a life or death situation, I've never had to actually shoot a firearm in defense of my life. I have been forced to draw my weapon on 2 occasions. One of those occasions was in a gas station where people were trying to mug me. When that happens, a lot of people say that like time slows down. It really doesn't. Time doesn't slow down. You make the decision. Am I gonna draw my weapon? Am I gonna use force? It's a split-second decision. There's not some slow motion like people say. And anyone who's had to do something like this, they can tell you there's no slow motion. This officer's chasing after a perp, sees the perp turn around, point a weapon at him, and fire. That officer was well within his right to return fire. Even if they're saying, oh, well, the taser would have gone a different trajectory. In the moment, your muscle memory takes over. It's unreasonable to expect these police officers to make those kind of calculations in their head and try and decide whether or not the force that's being applied against them will kill them, maim them, injure them, or miss. That's unreasonable. It's unreasonable to expect anyone to do that. If someone points a weapon at you and fires the trigger, the fact that they're a crappy shot doesn't eliminate your right to defend yourself. And in that split second, it is unreasonable to apply Monday morning quarterback logic to try and pick it apart to decide whether it was justified or not. If your life is in jeopardy and you realize your life is in jeopardy, you have the right to defend yourself. Obviously, go through your state law. In most cases, that's correct. Some states require you have a duty of retreat. But in most states, if you are being attacked, if you're in fear for your life, you have the right to defend yourself. To go back, like we just watched that prosecutor do, and pull up still frames from grainy, and I know from grainy closed circuit TV cameras, and say, well, we estimate that it was 18 feet between them, and we know that the taser can only fire 15 feet. So it was unreasonable. It was unreasonable because he should have known. It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable that they are trying to apply that standard to this. It is sick. It is gross, and no one should take it. People are saying burn down. No one wants to burn anything down. No one wants to start any riots, but we can't let this stand. You can't let this stand. Everything that we just heard is refuted by the footage that's just available to the public. Everything. And you see them going out of their way to make the case for this. The fact that they're throwing the book at him, it is obvious that this is political. And I just hope we're going to try and get in touch with the officer. He's probably under arrest right now. Yeah, Sherry's saying no riots, please. But we can't let this stand. We can't say it's okay, because just as they're going after officers, we've already said, now they're going after law-abiding citizens. They're questioning his right to defend himself. They're also going to question your right to defend yourself. So yeah, we've gone about 50 minutes over, so this is probably a good time to cut it. If you're new to the channel, please do like our pages on Facebook and YouTube. You can also find our podcast on the Apple Podcast, as well as the Google Play Store. You can find us on the Podbean app, as well as conservative-daily.com/podcast. We stream on Facebook and on YouTube daily. So check us out there, and do make sure that you like our Facebook page. That's where you'll be able to receive updates when we go live with our streams. So again, my name is Max McGuire. Joe had to duck out early. Well, not really early, because we went overtime, but thanks for him for sticking in there a little bit longer. And remember that the fight to take back our country clearly isn't over. We just watched disgusting injustice. The fight to take back our country is not over, but the only way we win is if we all stand and fight together.